What's up, Ram fans? Welcome back to another jam-packed edition of CTV Sports. I'm Madeline Davis.
And I'm Leah Cackowski. Here's what we got on tap for you tonight.
CSU's track and field squads brought home lots of hardware.
While Rams basketball, swim, softball, and tennis all take on their busy weekends head first.
Plus, a special feature on an up-and-coming Colorado swimmer.
All of that and more right here on CTV Sports, which starts right now. The only thing CSU Track needed over the weekend was a broom, because that's right, both the men's and women's indoor teams swept the Mountain West Championships for the first time since 2019. And with a total of 275 points and 22 medals, the Rams got to bring home 2 new trophies. The women's team finished with a 113 points across 17 total events. The only other top contender was San Diego State, falling behind the Rams with 10 points. This is the Rams' 3rd consecutive indoor title for the women. And joining in on the sweep, the men's team put up quite the performance as well, bringing home 162 points while no one else was even close, with Air Force trailing by over 15 points. And if we look at the history and significance of this program, winning is not something that's new for the Rams. Since joining the Mountain West, the indoor squads have racked up a total of 12 conference wins combined, and there have been plenty of individuals who have made this possible. To get into the specifics of who, Madeline, tell us about the Rams that showed out over the weekend.
Thanks, Leah. Both teams came into the final day in position for a podium placement. The women were sitting in first with 77 points, while the men were sitting in second with 39. Last year, the men missed out on the title while the women got to celebrate. Like Leah touched on, this was not the case this year around, though. Here were the Rams that secured the dubs for both sides. Starting off the women, it was the throwers that once again set the team up for success. CSU swept the women's rate throw for a total of 24 points. Sunday was another successful day for the throwers, with Maya Lesnar and Gabby Morris placing first and second in women's shot put, as Maya broke the Mountain West record in the weight throw by over half a meter. Overall, the throwers' performances combined for 53 of the Rams' total 113 points. On the men's side, there were 11 men who placed on the 3rd day, including 4 first-place finishes that helped catapult the men to victory. Ryan Birkmeyer took first in the men's 800-meter, breaking a 26-year-old school record. Mariano Kiss took home first in the men's shot put. Alan Bouchara took first in the men's triple jump for the 3rd year in a row. And Kenny Carpenter, Carson Bruns, Jack Cobble, and Tom Willems took home the gold in the men's 1,600-meter relay. With the success of both teams, head coach Brian Bedard was named Coach of the Year, and both Maya Lesnar and Mariano Kiss were named Performers of the Meet in their respective sides. The Rams are still awaiting the announcement as to who will qualify for the NCAAs in Boston, but don't worry too much. We will most definitely see some CSU representation come the end of next week.
The CSU men's basketball team went on the road over the weekend yet again, and they took another away loss, this time to UNLV. And it all came down to the basics. So pretty early here in the first half, we have an automatic pass to Jalen Lake for the 3. He is so good when he is automatic in that spot. But this is where it gets a little bit scary from the Rebs, with the slam dunk to get them barely trailing behind the Rams. And the 3 right here is where they get the first lead of the game. And transitioning a little bit farther into the first half, 3-pointer here by Neek Clifford, but it really still wasn't enough because they were only up by 2 points. Josiah Strong doing his thing in the mid-range right here, but again, this 3-point really killed the Rams from Jackson, because this is just kind of where the game got away from him. Isaiah Stevens doing what he can to deficit the points, but in the end, they ran out of time and it just wasn't enough to beat the Rebs. And you know, despite having a really large lead early, it was the inability to compete the basic fundamentals that really just got the best of the Rams. CSU shot a less than acceptable 66% at the foul line and only 25% beyond the arc. But the real killer was missing multiple layups. 38% from the field compared to their usual 49%. With the amount of turnovers and just okay shooting from the Rebs, it's hard to say where the confidence crumbled from the green and gold. The final outcome being 66 Rebels and 60 Rams. Naturally, though, one Ram did continue to shine like he does week in and week out. Who knew there were any more records to break? Well, apparently Isaiah Stevens did, because not only is he the all-time assist leader, but he now owns the program's single assist record with 207 and counting. He breaks the previous record, which was set in 1993 by Ryan Yoder, who had 204. But however, it's really no secret that this isn't the first time the Rams have really just struggled on the road, especially when players are still putting up record-breaking numbers. So Madeline, what do you think the issue is here?
I wish I knew. To be honest, it's so frustrating watching them be so dominant at home. And they're dominant in the first half on the road, but they can't seem to close it out. Mm-mm. It's like they get there, and then all of a sudden the second half comes, the other team seems to figure them out, and they just forget how to shoot the ball.
Well, and we have it really started, in my opinion, just like that weekend of the long trip with Boise, and it was Utah State. And then we just have not done well on the road since. Think about Wyoming, one of the worst losses of the season. And
don't remind me.
We've had it recently. We were up at San Diego State. We were up at the Pit. Like you said, it's like first half, it's like, whoa, who's this team? And it's either coming down to 3-point shooting. I don't know.
You know what it's coming down to? It's coming down to free throws.
Yeah, free throws has been our killer.
They can't shoot a free throw on the road. It's crazy. Well, I don't know.
And they'll start doing pretty well, but then again, that second half, it's okay, they're gonna foul, and then they can't get the 3-point shots, so it sucks.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you brought it up earlier, that Boise Utah State trip. That was a rough one, and then they played Nevada on the road. That was their next road game, which they're playing Nevada again tonight.
They are.
Currently 7.5-point favorites, but we're going to have to see. I mean, Nevada kind of dominated when they were out in Reno.
Oh, I believe we did not do well at all when we played against there. And they have some players that have been doing really well. Nick Davidson can go up and get boards like no other. He's been doing really, really well. But again, they're 6-3 on the road. We're 14-1 at home.
We are 14-1 at home, and we've been destroying opponents that we have struggled with on the road. So, I mean, we're 7.5-point favorites.
Right.
But Nevada also, they have a history of playing well here. I mean, this happened, you don't remember it, and I guess technically I don't either. It was a year before I came and 2 years before you came. But there was a Nevada game, Isaiah Stevens, buzzer beater 3, court storm.
I think I do remember watching that online when I was in high school, because I was starting to follow the Rams a little bit.
So, I mean, there's a lot of history between these two teams. It's a little bit of an unsaid rivalry. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out tonight.
I think so, too. And again, the Mountain West, I feel like everybody's winning at home, and everyone continues to still, kind of lose on the road for the most part. Yeah. So, again, we only got 2 home games left. So, we're just going to hope for the best tonight.
Have to see what happens and just hope the road woes don't continue when we go to Air Force.
That's all I got to say, too. Yes.
And the men may have had some road woes over the weekend, but the women came back to FOCO with a new dub against the Utah State Aggies with a final score of 90-68. This win took absolutely no one by surprise. CSU came into this game sitting at 18-9 with a 7-7 Mountain West record, while Utah State was sitting at 4-22 with a 2-14 Mountain West record. CSU kept the Aggies scoreless for over 6 minutes while going on a 15-0 run at one point, and there was just no slowing down for CSU from there. The charge was led by a 31-point performance from McKenna Hofschild, and once again, it was Marta Lamena with another 20-plus point performance. She has been huge for the Rams as of late. Hofschild and Lamena went 24 of 32 on combined shooting and scored over half the Rams' total points. CSU will continue to look for this upwards momentum tomorrow morning when the Nevada Wolfpack comes to town for the Rams' annual Education Day game.
Rams softball traveled down to Texas for one of the toughest weekends they'll have all season, facing 2 teams in the top 15 across the country. And unfortunately, they didn't come away with the win on this one. Friday consisted of starting the day out with number 12 in the nation, Stanford. The game was close with the Cardinals leading 3-1 all the way to the 7th inning, but Stanford finally figured out pitcher Sydney Hornbuckle because back-to-back hits led to a 3-run bomb to seal the deal against the Rams with a final score of 6-2. Game 2 is not any easier as the number 2 team in the country, Texas, shut out the Rams 7-0. The Green and Gold entered day 2 facing Louisiana, and the Raging Cajuns came out firing with an early 2-0 lead for the Rams, though the game was pretty quiet, leaving runners on until the 7th inning. Haley Smith blasted a deep home run with 2 outs to score her and Maya Matsubara, but CSU ultimately couldn't shut it down, falling 4-2, and the second time around with Texas was even worse than the first. The Rams got run-ruled by the Longhorns in just 5 innings with a score of 9-0. Ashley York was the only one who got a hit for the game for CSU. And finally, on day 3, the Green and Gold had a chance to dance with Stanford once again, and this was the most competitive game of them all. Colorado State fell in 9 innings with a final score of 3-1, but it was a true battle on the mound. The pitching performance was amazing from both sides. Texas native Reagan Wicks started for the Green and Gold and threw the complete game. The Cardinals can't relate, though, as they gave everything they had with a total of 4 pitching changes, including the appearance of All-American Ajari Kennedy. She came in during the 6th after coming out an 8-inning win over Texas the night before. Unfortunately, the gas ran out of the tank for Wick as the Cardinals were able to walk off their 2nd consecutive game in extras with a homer to right field. While the Rams weren't able to string one together, this time the level of competition will make them better regardless. One of the best events of the year returns to Fort Collins as the Colorado Classic starts this Friday at Ram Field.
After another successful home win Saturday afternoon against Northern Arizona, the CSU women's tennis team was back in action on Sunday for a matchup with the Colorado Buffs. The Rams were riding a 16-home match win streak coming into Sunday, hoping to extend it to 17, especially against an in-state rival. Intentions were high, and you could tell. CSU came out strong and took the doubles point quite easily, but to much dismay of Ram fans, the Buffs retaliated and put up a strong singles performance to clinch the match 4-1 in favor of Colorado. Here is what head coach Miley Tran had to say about her team's performance on the afternoon. CU came out strong in the singles and got good early leads. Everyone was excited to play CU. They've been on a streak of playing well, so I'm honestly proud of how well they fought. The Rams will get the rest of the week to recoup before taking on GCU at home this Saturday.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Swim and Dive was in Houston over the weekend competing in the Mountain West Conference Championships. Not only is this SDSU's 3rd consecutive championship, but 5th in the last 6 years. The Green and Gold put up a fight, but it just wasn't enough, scoring 897 points to the Aztecs near 1,500. But they still managed to make a statement. CSU junior Erin Dawson became the first woman in the Mountain West to win both the 200 free and 400 individual medley titles in the same competition, naming her swimmer of the meet, while Maya White and Tess Weinray took 2nd place in their respective categories. This year's conference championship was met with a new wave of emotion and fellowship. Schools from across the Mountain West came together to share their support to Wyoming, who was mourning the loss of 3 members of their swim and dive team, who died in a car accident just days before the meet. Sophomore Charlie Clark, freshman Carson Muir, and junior Luke Slabber were killed in a car crash that took place near the Colorado-Wyoming border when the car drove off the road and rolled over. There were 5 people in the vehicle, killing the 3 student athletes, while the other 2 were hurt. According to CBS News, authorities say the group wasn't traveling to any sort of official school function on Thursday. University of Wyoming President Ed Seidel shared a statement saying, quote, "We are heartsick at the news of this terrible tragedy for our university, our state, our student athlete community, and most importantly, the families and friends of these young people. "Words are insufficient to express our sadness," end quote. This tragic act brought a wave of fellowship from Mountain West schools and teams across the nation. CSU swimmers were showing their support by writing "WYO" on their arms, and they also put a temporary tattoo of the Cowboys logo on their cheek for the competition. CSU swimmer Megan Hager told the Denver Post that, "I think it's just as important to be neighbors and not just rivals." The Mountain West continues to mourn the losses and show their support to families that were impacted. Our condolences go out to the Wyoming community.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Tuesday Night Sports. Now, Northern Colorado is home to some of the finest young athletes and athletic programs that the Buck State has to offer. Recently, I had the opportunity to interview a prominent coach and one of the rising stars in one of the most underrated sports out there, swim. In the modern age, one of the most prominent yet underappreciated sports is that of swim. However, when we're looking at the Fort Collins and Northern Colorado swim scene, we have one of the most prominent and successful when we're looking at Colorado as a whole. One of the rising stars in this game is a freshman from Liberty Common High School, Josie Stahl. I had the opportunity to speak with both Josie and her coach, Rob Huey, right here at the Adora Pool and Ice Center, just off of Prospect. The Eagles over at Liberty Common High School prove that birds of a feather swim together. When I talked with both Rob and Josie, they both said that they didn't really know what the season had in store for them.
I honestly had no idea what to expect because I'd never been in the high school season before. I've only ever done club meets before. But I just remember Coach Rob the whole season was just telling me, make sure to focus on conference and state. Like, that's when you're going to shine. That's when you'll do your best. Don't worry about the slow times you're going.
I had some anticipation to it because I knew of some really good freshmen coming in, a sophomore that didn't swim for us last year, so I knew we were bringing on, a pretty good amount of people. I was a little bit surprised in a good way with the depth that we were able to bring this year, especially to that conference championship meet. I think our depth really paid off, so that was a little bit of a surprise, definitely in a positive way.
But what may not have been a surprise was Liberty Common taking home their 4th conference championship in a row in late January.
It was really exciting, since we're a pretty new program, going from Berthoud was kind of one of the big teams that was a really big competitor when we started, that, we've always tried to swim our best against them, to not only win the conference championship, but do it in a pretty big fashion the way we did this year. It was really exciting for us.
And that success didn't end at the conference championship. At state, as a freshman, Josie won the 100-meter breaststroke, becoming only the 3rd individual state champion in Liberty Common Swim's 5-year history.
I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to be a part of the team and add to the legacy, because I know not a lot of people on Liberty have ever won state, and it's a great accomplishment to be able to say I'm a part of those people that have. And I feel like super honored to be a part of it because it's a great legacy.
And Coach Huey is a really large part of why Josie chose to stay at Liberty Common.
He taught my sister in 6th grade, and so I've known him, and he's an amazing coach, and I really love his style and the way he pushes everyone. And so when I knew he was going to be the Liberty coach, I was like, I have to go. I have to train with him.
And for good reason, as Rob has been coaching for almost 20 years.
One of the fast coaches saw me in the stands waiting to pick up my kids and said, hey, I know you have a swim background. There's an opening up over at Rocky Mountain High School. Do you want to coach? I gave it a shot, and that was 17 years ago.
Despite coaching 15 All-Americans, Huey believes that Josie's win at state is one of the most memorable moments of his career.
Definitely going into that, I was nervous. I'm probably just as nervous as she was, or maybe more, and excited, and hopeful. And, I knew that, she was a competitor, so I knew she had a great shot at bringing it home and winning, and she was successful with that, so I was definitely excited about that.
And despite knowing that she could very well rest on her laurels, Josie's going to keep pushing to get better.
As soon as you win, like, you're only good as your last performance, so you have to get in and keep training even harder and harder so you're able to do it again.
One thing I know for sure is that if Rob, Josie, and the rest of the fine folk over at Liberty Commons Swim keep going the way they're headed, the sky's the limit for these Eagles to soar. Coach Huey and Josie Stahl haven't had too much time to celebrate this historic win, with Stahl competing in club swim year-round and Huey heading the Liberty Common boys swim team, who practices started for yesterday. You can find my full interviews with Stahl and Huey on our YouTube channel, and after the break, I will be joining Madeline and Leah in a classic round of pick'ems to see how we view these last couple of weeks of college basketball.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. I'm gonna need that back. No. Kevin!
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. With a busy week of basketball ahead, we figured now would be a great time than ever to bring back some pick'ems. We've got a lot of games to discuss tonight, so we're going to just jump right into it. And so first, Boise State and New Mexico tip off this Saturday, and they're two very competitive teams. So I will start with my pick. Again, Mountain West is competitive. We know this. This is a fact. I am actually going to go New Mexico on this one. I'm coming out with kind of a hot take a little bit. And I think, I know they're at Boise, so that's kind of a hard thing to do, but at the same time, I don't know. I just have kind of a weirdly good feeling about New Mexico with their absolutely embarrassing loss at Air Force at their home base, and I think they're going to defend that, and I think they're going to come away with a win. So that's what I think.
Yeah, The thing about that, Leah, is that is one of the picks of all time. Now, I'm going to go with Boise here. New Mexico coming off of a bunch of embarrassing losses in the pit. How do you lose to Air Force,
not to CSU,
first of all?
though.
I know.
Well, not to CSU, but outside of that, they've been playing.
Okay, well, we almost lost to Air Force, too, so can't talk too much.
I know.
Yeah, but all around, Boise at home, almost impossible to win on the road in the Mountain West.
No, and
got to be the Broncos.
Oh boy, does Boise have a phenomenal record at Extra Mile Arena.
No, they do.
They have in the past 4 years, they have less than 10 losses at home.
That's wild.
They're really, really good. They already beat New Mexico once at the pit earlier this season. I don't see a single way that the Broncos don't take this one.
It's just my hot take of the night. I just weirdly think I just
honestly,
got a weird feeling.
honestly, it would put New Mexico back in a better position. Because honestly, they're especially with that loss to Air Force, they're starting to drop down.
I just think Jalen House is going to take it to the house. I really do think that. I don't know. He was the guy when that miracle shot for us when we played them at the pit, and I just think they're going to take it. But what we got next, Madeline? What's the next one?
Okay, well, game number 2 on our slate for tonight is also this Saturday. It's Baylor hosting the Jayhawks. So this one, I don't know. I just think Kansas is too good. I'm gonna go with Kansas. I know that. I mean, there's no doubt that Baylor's a good team.
Right.
They're at home, but I just can never go against Kansas.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gideon?
Okay, so I remember watching us play Michigan when Hunter Dickinson was still Wolverine, and seeing him make it over to Kansas, and seeing the production that he's been putting up. He's averaging, I think, about 10.9 rebounds a game right now for the Jayhawks. And
how can you not when you're 7'1"?
I mean, but he's decisively better, in my opinion, than Missy for Baylor. So honestly, I'm going to say rock chalk all day.
Yeah.
All right, my second hot take of the night.
I don't think this one's as hot.
It's really not.
This one's not as hot.
I don't know. I'm going to go Baylor here. Even though Kansas is amazing, Baylor still has a great, amazing team as well. Okay, if we look at it, so they are number 14 in the Big 12, or sorry, excuse me, they're number 4 in the Big 12, and Kansas is number 3. Like, they're honestly pretty close. So, I mean, in reality, yes, I think Kansas is the better team, but having home court advantage for Baylor this year, I just personally think, I mean, they've already lost to Kansas when they were at KU, so it's just kind of like, I don't know, again, weird feeling. Think Baylor's going to take it. They're really close in conference. They're 15th in the country. Kansas is 17th, or 7th. Oh, my goodness. And so I just think, I don't know, I just think they're going to take away with the home win this time.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Just picking Kansas has always done me well.
No, it's always
so
I'm
going to stick with Kansas.
Always a pretty good bet.
They're my lucky pick team.
Yeah. And, I mean, now, before we bring it back to the Mountain West, we're going to take a look at 2 games from out east at Tennessee, where they're going to be facing off this week against both Auburn and Alabama, starting with tomorrow's matchup against Auburn. So I'm going to start with this one. Dalton Knecht, I know Prairie View High is bad at basically everything, but I'm super glad that Dalton Knecht has found a good spot over at Tennessee, and he's turned into one of the best players in the country this year. I think that he's better than anything that Auburn can throw at him, so I'm going to take the Vols here against Auburn.
Gideon, I have to agree with you. To be honest, both teams 21-6. Auburn is 8-3 away. Tennessee does have a home loss to South Carolina earlier in the season, but I have one player written down in my notes, Dalton Knecht. Tennessee, I mean, they're number 4 in the nation right now. Auburn's number 11. It's a good conference. SEC is good, but being at Tennessee, I see Tennessee taking the dub here.
I feel like our sports director, Mike Walsh, tonight as the devil's advocate in all of these picks.
You're picking Auburn in this one,
I'm
too?
going Auburn,
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
All right,
okay.
Simply just because, again, yeah, they're 11th in the country, so
Tennessee's
I feel like
4.
I want to, and they killed South Carolina, and Tennessee lost to South Carolina.
Okay,
That's the only thing I'm basing off of.
Early in this season.
Hey,
okay.
That's my pick.
Okay. Okay.
And then we have Alabama on Saturday, which is basically guaranteed to be another great game. We have 2 ranked teams here. I will say, I'm taking Benton. No, I'm just kidding. It's Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I am going to take Alabama. The game's in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, Tuscaloosa's tough, but
they're 13-1 at home. They're a good team. I think in Tennessee they have a reputation of kind of losing it sometimes, and I think Alabama could do that to them. So I'm going with Bama.
fair enough.
I'm finally agreeing with someone tonight. I'm going with Tennessee, actually, though. I'm agreeing with Gideon here. Okay, we got the number 1 and 2 teams in the SEC competing. Yeah, Alabama always has a naturally great, amazing home crowd, but I'm taking Tennessee. I'm going to go Vols on this one. But, now that we've discussed a little bit before, the Rams are hosting the Wolfpack tonight, guys. I mean, CSU's winning.
CSU.
CSU.
Yes. They destroy people at home. I got to go with the Rams on this one.
Madeline and I talked about it a lot earlier. Our home record's too good. Nevada is not as good as us, in my opinion, just overall, and I think we are going to come on top with the win, absolutely, tonight.
Even that one home loss against St. Mary's.
And that was a close one. And St. Mary's is so good now. That doesn't even look like a bad loss.
Yeah.
Anymore.
No.
And I mean, we lost terribly to Nevada on the road, but I think we got to end things off with one of the best games of the year.
Border War Part 2.
Border War Part 2. Who we got? Should we say it on 3, actually?
Okay.
I was going to say, well, we already...
Well, sorry.
1, 2, 3,
spoiled it.
CSU.
No, Wyoming always puts up a fight up at Auditorium Arena. But when they come to Fort Collins, we always crush them. But don't forget to join us. Yes,
it's all the things, but...
Don't forget to join us next week to see how some of these games check out. But for now, stay safe and have a great rest of your night, Rams.